love these games.
RCJ Productions.
What is up, Need for Speed Racers? It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut. I'm here today with the top 5 meta S cars in Need for Speed Unbound. So, no matter young or old, new or veteran, if you don't have some of the cars on this list, you probably ought to put them in your garage because these are the bangers, these are the world record setters, and just damn good cars all the way around. I've got the top 5 plus a bonus because you guys do need a rumble car as well. Let's dig into it. There's a lot of builds to pack into the video, so we will not delay. And before us today is the Ferrari F40. This is old reliable. We've had this car since volume 1. It is very good. It has not changed, but there's a lot of new guys to the game and a lot of new people to the channel. So if you guys don't have this one in the flock, grab it. Let's go. The engine that we run on the Ferrari F40 is the very first engine. It is the 3.6 liter V6, 308 brake horsepower when we start. For the parts, you're running Silver Pro induction, you're running Silver Pro ECU, and you're running Elite Platinum fuel system, Elite Platinum exhaust. You're going to mate all of that to the Elite Platinum screw supercharger. It makes this thing a rocket ship off the line. Sport Bronze bottle of NOS, Elite Platinum road suspension, Silver Pro brakes, and Elite Platinum grip tires. Iron basic clutch, it doesn't matter, it's only a 4-speed because we are running the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. Elite Platinum diff, because I always put the Elite Platinum diffs in the car, but guys, you can do just the Sport Bronze. It's a full Beyonce build and it gets there really easily. Auxiliary nitrous grip, nitrous drift, as we do, so that way you can get those micro drifts. Handling, slide the slider all the way, full Beyonce to the left, 100% full grip on this one. Steering sensitivity, that is personal preference. I like 2 clicks high, but if you find the car's a little too rowdy, too hard to control, maybe back that off a little bit. So that's personal preference. Downforce all the way high. Slide that full grip, full high downforce, and it makes this car planted, predictable, and incredibly fast. This was the world record setting car on blue collar for a very long time until our man SlideQT came in with his drift build, and I've got that for you in a minute. Traction control is off, and drift entry I run brake tap, but once again, that's personal preference. That's going to give you the Ferrari F40 S329 build. 193 is for your top speed, 771 for the horsepower, and 631 for your torque. Don't be swayed on this. This car is incredible. If you don't have it, you need to run it. You need to own it. It is great. It is super stable. With Redline Tech, it does about 195, 197-ish. So overall, it's not quite as fast as some of the other cars, but like I said earlier, it accelerates like a rocket ship, and I do mean that. Before they took away pre-shift with Volume 3, because the devs are so great, you would launch this car in 3rd gear, and you would be 0 to about 150 mile an hour within that initial launch boost window. You would just walk away from everybody. This car was insane. It's really what turned me on to manual shifting, because that pre-launch in this car was so awesome. It's still not bad. You can still click through the gears really fast, and it still launches very hard, but originally the OG F40 with pre-shift was cracked. Alright, let's get you guys something a little more drifty so my drifters out there are taken care of. The DMC DeLorean drift build. I bet a lot of you guys didn't expect to see this car on the list, but it currently holds the world record on Smoke Show by my buddy Arexon. He's driving this car with this build. He was very kind to share it with me. He submitted his time to speedrun.com. I mean, all in all, this car is pretty nuts on that particular track, and I think it can be very good on many others, and so I want to bring it to you guys, maybe show you something a little different that aren't on the other list, because at the end of the day, we're out here driving the meta, and when I've got the fastest guys in the world in my crew and we are setting those times, it's really easy to isolate the really good ones. And so this one's popping up, it's a newer one, and it's very fast. Let me show you the build. Arexon's got it set up a little different, but hey, if he sets a world record in it, we take those. The engine that we run in the DMC DeLorean is the 5.0 liter V8, 575 brake horsepower. When we start, we double it. It is the Sport Bronze engine. It is the 4th engine over, so you'll count 1, 2, 3, and 4 5.0 liter V8. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum induction, Elite Platinum ECU, Elite Platinum fuel system, and Elite Platinum exhaust. Made it all to the Elite Platinum screw supercharger. If you're drifting, you want to have that torque and you want it immediately, and so the screw is the best choice for that. Sport Bronze nitrous, Elite Platinum off-road suspension, Sport Bronze brakes, and Elite Platinum off-road tires. With this being a full off-road setup, the way it turns in and drifts is very predictable, but you guys could also use this car on blue collar. You could use this car for rumble. There's a couple different places this car sets, so just because it has a world record on one track doesn't mean that it's only good there. This is very usable in other tracks that have some off-road sections, so keep that in mind, you guys. Definitely try it for rumble. I've got another rumble car in the back list that does have 2 of the crew records, but I want to point that out because it's not a one-trick pony. This car is very good, so keep that in mind. You do get to put in a super gold clutch. That's really nice because for you auto players, it's going to shift a little faster, and for you manual players, you can shift through the gears really fast during that early launch and get a little bit of a leg up on the competition. You are going to run a 4-speed Sport Bronze transmission in this setup. Arexon said he had the 5 and the 4. He didn't notice a discernible difference between the two, and the top speed didn't change. So less gears, it has so much power, it carries you through them no problem. Little less shifting, saves you a little bit of time. Elite Platinum differential is what I have in it because that's what I usually do the testing with and whatnot. But guys, you can get away with just the Sport Bronze. You're only doing a 40% drift build on this car. Auxiliaries, they don't change, you guys. Nitrous drift. I have nitrous near miss because I clicked the wrong button. That is going to be nitrous grip. So nitrous grip, nitrous drift. Handling, 40% drift. So slide the slider to the right, grab 40% drift. That's how our Arexon runs it. But if you guys are drifting the cars, you're going to have a sweet spot that is good for you. So go with what you feel. Steering sensitivity, 3 clicks high. That's where I've got it set on this car. It felt pretty good for me, but I'm not really a drifter, so guys, go with what you feel there. Downforce all the way low. Slide that slider all the way to the left. We're full Beyonce on that one. And it's just going to allow the car to accelerate as hard as it possibly can. And it makes it pretty nice for those drifts. Traction control is off. Drift entry is gas tap. That is going to be the DMC DeLorean in S-Class. Smoke show world record holder. 186 for the top speed. 1177 for that horsepower. And 1004 for the torque. This thing has got the power, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And when you pull it out in S-Class and you're waxing everybody else in the meta cars, you're also in a meta car, but you're surprising with a new one. So guys, thanks to Arexon for giving me this. It's pretty sweet. Let's move on to another really good car in the class. Is it any surprise that it's a 180SX? I don't think so. SlideQT does all of the drift builds for his personal preference, his setups. Myself and Nil, we set up all of the grip cars. So if it's grippium like that F40, that is a Nil special. But if it is a drift build, Arexon brought us this one. SlideQT is bringing us this one. So we've got a lot of heads put together, and when a crew comes together to work on stuff, you're definitely getting the best because there's so many different minds working and developing this stuff. It's not just a one trick, and so this is really a banger. It holds a lot of records in the S-Class, and so that's why I bring it to you. The performance, we run the engine, the last engine over. It is the 2.0 liter inline 4, 366 brake horsepower when we start. That's the Sport Bronze engine. Guys, there's a couple of different i4s in this car, and there's a couple in the Sport Bronze, so just make sure you go all the way to the right and grab that last engine, 366 bhp when you start. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum, all of it. So it's Elite Platinum induction, Elite Platinum ECU, Elite Platinum fuel system, Elite Platinum exhaust, Elite Platinum screw supercharger, and Elite Platinum nitrous. This particular engine just doesn't put out so much horsepower that it takes it out of the class, so slam in all of those Elite Platinum parts and you've got a full build on your hands. SlideQT runs Elite Platinum road suspension, Silver Pro brakes, and Elite Platinum tires. Not the roads, not the grippers, not the drifters, but just the regular Elite Platinum tires. The other tires take it out of the class. He says that the roads or the regular ones just hook up. It's just right. It's a perfect feel. He loves it. He's cracked fast in it, so this is the build. Iron basic clutch, because who needs to shift? Us, I guess. And then you're going to run the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. Every time I do this car with this setup, Slide wants me to point out, this car has not been nerfed. It has had no updates. It is the same car that has always ever been in the 180. And fourth gear is a little bugged. So you'll shift through the gears 1, 2, 3. When you go from third to fourth, you will ride fourth gear for about 2/3 of the RPM range. And then you're going to short shift or shift early into fifth and let fifth gear carry you through the rest of your track. Fourth gear it actually accelerates slower in fourth than it does in fifth. And so with all the testing that Slide has done, that's the technique, and it's going to give you a leg up on the competition. A lot of other people do builds on these cars, but very few are bringing you all the good tips to help you guys get faster. You're going to run the Elite Platinum differential if you're me. Otherwise, you guys can get away with just the Sport Bronze. We're only doing 50% drift, so the Sport Bronze diff will get you there. Auxiliaries, they don't change. Nitrous drift, nitrous grip, that's what we're out here doing. So you can micro drift, then full drift, and be a rocket ship in the 180SX. Handling slider. Slide that slider to the right, 50% drift. Steering sensitivity, I run it all the way low to match SlideQT. I don't drive this car at all, so guys, go with what you feel, but Slide runs it all the way low. He says that's where he likes it. Downforce, it's 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3 to the right. That is S329, that's where he likes it. Everything lower than that is S plus 330. So you want to have as low a downforce as possible, but still yet be in the class. So that is 3 clicks from the right of center. Traction control off, and drift entry is gas tap for our friend SlideQT. That is going to be the 180SX in S-Class. 192 top speed, it definitely gets there. 640 for your horsepower and 627 for your torque. This is where the car caps out. It cannot go any faster than this. And there is one other drift car that is a little better than this one. Let me bring it to you. Our last world record setting build is the Lamborghini Superveloce Roadster. This is the convertible, but I've got a hard top on it. So just be aware of that, you guys. You need to buy the convertible, the Roadster. It's a blue collar slayer. The original time on this was set by our buddy Cube, did a 155 in the Ford GT. Then we all shifted over to the F40 because it was discernibly better than the Ford GT. And then our man Hex did a 150, and we're like, let's go, that's so fast. And we were wondering who was going to break that sub 50 barrier and do a 140 anything. And it turns out it was our man SlideQT in this car, and he does a 144.89, and it is currently just insane. So I've got the build before you. Guys, if you're drifters and you don't have this car yet, what are you doing? You need this one. It's also very, very fast on Lakeside. SlideQT also holds the world record on that track in this car as well. So let's go. The engine that you use in this one, is the 5.0 liter V8. It is the second engine. It comes stock with the V12, so you go to the left one. 460 brake horsepower when we start, and we almost triple it. Parts: Super Gold induction, Elite Platinum ECU, Elite Platinum fuel system, Elite Platinum exhaust, and then you're going to run the Elite Platinum screw supercharger to get all of that instant torque. Sport Bronze nitrous, Elite Platinum off-road suspension. Like I said, this is a blue collar slayer. There's a lot of off-road on that track. That cracks this car out. Super Gold brakes, and then you're going to run the Elite Platinum drift tires. Super Gold clutch is stock. And then you're going to go down to the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. There is another build that you can do, the 6-speed in this car. It brings it up a little bit faster for the top speed, and it's a little bit more usable on some of the other tracks, but you do need to take some power out. So if you guys want to do that, throw in the 6-speed and then just change a couple of the parts down to Silver Pro. You'll probably be able to figure it out pretty easy. It is the Elite Platinum differential, so that way you can get the most out of the drift slider. Auxiliary nitrous drift, nitrous grip, as we always do. For the handling, slide the slider to the right, 40% drift, or as much as you can do with this current build configuration. Steering sensitivity, I run 2 clicks high. SlideQT likes it over here. Downforce, 1 to the left off of center, that is S329. Anything less is S plus 330. So just 1 to the left off the center, that's the lowest downforce you can get. Still keep it in the class. It is quite good. Traction control is off, and drift entry is gas tap for our man SlideQT. This configuration holds 2 records on the crew leaderboard that we have internally, and I'm sure that if he grinded out a few more, he could definitely do it. This car is nuts. If you guys decide you want to increase the top speed and utilize it on more tracks, you just go over, you do equip the 6-speed, and then you go and take some power out by taking these things down to Super Gold right there and Super Gold right here. And then you bring your induction up to Elite Platinum, and then you take your handling slider and run your downforce up. So that's it right there. You got to go full downforce, and then for your parts, it is Elite Platinum induction, Super Gold ECU, Elite Platinum fuel system, and Super Gold exhaust. That's going to give you a little bit better top speed. It's going to make this car more usable on some of the other tracks. So there's both builds for it. It's cracked. It's really fast. It's a lot of fun. 1003 on the horsepower on this one, 810. With the other configuration, the power was considerably more. But really, at the end of the day, those stats don't matter. The lap times that the car can do really do, and it's a good one. So let me show you my personal favorite car in S-Class. It still holds a couple of records, and it's awesome. The 1971 Skyline. The OG GTR. This is my favorite car in the game, and this is my favorite build for it. This is one of my personal builds. OG. Been running it this way a very long time. I'm going to show you 2 configurations for it. There is a world record that was set in this car by myself. I held it for like an hour before somebody else came and took it from me by a little bit, but it is very good. That build uses a different engine, but it's a one trick. It's only good on that one track. This is the build that I use for all the tracks, and it's very competitive. It's got a great top speed. It accelerates super good, and it's a little rowdy. If you can tame the beast, this car is awesome. Fish hook, it holds the record for the crew, and on rapid transit, it holds the record for the crew. World record, I think it doesn't actually hold any world records, but it definitely is up there. It's a contender, and it is the meta. Let's go. Let me show you what I got. Before I get into that, shout out to Tire Iron, Sad Rose, Hakasuka UAE, Bulky Boy. Those guys are my big 4 right now. They donate to my channel. They subscribe to me on Patreon or just donate to me directly, and their contributions allow me to continue to put the energy into these videos for you guys. They bought me a really nice chair that sits behind me. That allows me to have better posture, have better energy. I use a stand-up desk for my videos, so that way my whole rig can come up and I can have more energy when I give you guys that. And overall, they're helping me pay some of my bills, and so that way I can focus more on the YouTube content and less on having to work during the daytime, so that way I can make ends meet. So shout out to them. There's a lot of other guys that help out. You guys know who you are. I'm thankful to all of you, and if you want to be a part of that, I've got a Patreon, I've got a donations page. You can gift a sub, you can become a member on YouTube and get some fancy emotes and badges like the rest of us. But any way you want to contribute, I'm thankful for it. And so this is a great time for me to shout out some of the guys that are really taking care of me. Okay, let's get into the build. Also, Siwoo did the rap. I just put names and stuff on top of it. So thanks to Siwoo for that. Alright, the performance on this one, the engine that we run is the 2.9 liter V8, 471 brake horsepower when we start. That is the stock engine in the F40. No wonder the car's so good. The world record setting run gets done in the V12. That car with that build, redline tech's a little higher, but this one is my favorite. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum, all of them across the board. So you're going to run Elite Platinum Induction, Elite Platinum ECU, Elite Platinum Fuel System, and Elite Platinum Exhaust. Now this is where you get to pick what you want to do. If the car is too rowdy in this configuration, The best build is the Root Supercharger. You throw that in there and you are going. This thing is insane. It's got torque everywhere and it'll go, but it'll rotate on you a little bit and you got to tame the beast. If you're having trouble taming the beast, run the twin turbos. All you need to do is adjust the handling slider just a little bit and it'll fit. So no problem. You just go run the downforce. You're good. Either one, that's the only part you change. Go from 20s to the Roots. The Roots gives us 811, 738 for your horsepower and your torque. The 20s bring us down a little bit on the horsepower and they take some of the torque out and they change where that torque is in the RPM range. With it being the twins, the Roots is like a punch in the face. You hit the gas and it's right there. If you have the twins, it's a little slower to spool, and so it's a little more linear and it's a little easier to tame. So depending on what your driving style is, if you can't handle the Roots, go run the twins. It'll help you out a lot. Sport Bronze Bottle of NOS, Elite Platinum Road Suspension, Iron Basic Brakes because we don't stop in this car, and Elite Platinum Grip Tires, Iron Basic Clutch, and then the Super Gold 7-speed transmission. Before, when we could pre-launch and pre-shift and get a great launch out of this car, this thing was really good. And now we got to run through the gears a little bit, so it's not as dominant as it once was, but it is still very good. It's kind of like the same story with the F40. When you can launch in 3rd gear, that car was nuts. We used to launch this one in 6th. It kind of gives you an idea. Elite Platinum Diff, because you want to get the most out of that handling slider because it only goes to 80% grip. If you get 100% grip out of this car, it would be cracked. Like, it's already good, but it would be insane. Auxiliary is Nitrous Drift and Nitrous Grip. Handling, slide that slider all the way to the left, 80% grip. Steering sensitivity, I run 2 clicks high. That's my sweet spot. You guys might run a little lower. It's a little rowdy. Downforce all the way high. That is the only place the S329 fits with the Roots. With the twins, you put the twins in and then you back it off. I think it's the last 2 clicks is S329 with the twins. So, like I say, depending on which induction you're doing, you need to mess with that downforce just a little bit, but it's easy to find. Traction control is off and drift entry is brake tap. That's going to be the Nissan Skyline Hakusuka Edition, 208 for the top speed. It'll do like 210, which is great, and it's really fast accelerating, so you'll walk a lot of the cars. 811 for your horsepower and 738 for your torque with the Roots. It's my favorite car. I like it a lot. It catches people off guard because I think a lot of people are sleeping on this car, so if you can tame it, it's sweet. Let me show you our last build, the 6th bonus build, something you guys are gonna need for Rumble, especially if you're running in the tournament. The Ferrari Pista is discernibly the best Rumble car for S-Class that we have because it holds both of the crew world records. I'd say they're world records because nobody really chases Rumble times, and I couldn't find any other on YouTube, so unless somebody else proves me wrong, we'll call it a world record. By our man Tetsu, and he sent me his car build. I tweaked it a little bit, got a little more horsepower out of it, like we do out here. Both Nil and I are kind of cracked in the garage, so when we put our heads together, that's what we came up with. It was funny because I did the tweaks, and I was like, hey, I got a little more power out of it. He goes, well, is it this? And he sent it to me, and me and Nil had the exact same build, even though we weren't building together. And so it's just funny that great minds think alike. Anyway, that livery, a little bit of history. Ferrari sucks. Somebody put that livery on the side of their car. Ferrari did a big cease and desist order, tried to sue the guy, take his car away because he had that on it, and then Nissan's like, hey, we gave you a GTR and it's got it on it. You want it? You want it? I believe it was Skrillex. It was either Skrillex or Deadmau5. One of the two. It was one of those artists that had that livery on the car, and basically Ferrari's a piece of shit. So I will never own a Ferrari, as much as it hurts me to say that because I love the Testarossa. But a little bit of history for you guys. Anyway, for a Rumble build, this one's crazy, so let's get into it. For the performance, we're basically building ourselves the B-Class version of the car, but just putting it in an S-Class. It is the second engine over. It is the 7.0 liter V8. 425 brake horsepower when we start, and we almost do that times 3. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum for most of them. We do not do Elite Platinum fuel system. So it's Elite Platinum induction, Elite Platinum ECU, and Silver Pro fuel system, and Elite Platinum exhaust. You're going to mate that all up to the Elite Platinum Roots supercharger, so that way you've got all that torque for rumble. Sport Bronze Nitrous Elite Platinum off-road suspension, because we are doing rumble, we are doing off-road. Super Gold brakes, and Elite Platinum off-road tires. Guys, if you've been taking notes, the DeLorean has a little more horsepower than this one does, so go with what you feel for that off-road style building, but I think this one's truly cracked. It accelerates like a beast. It does have an Elite Platinum clutch, so you can run through the gears. Basically, when you launch, shift into fifth as fast as you possibly can, and then just drive the race. Leave it in fifth the whole time. We are running the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission, so that is gonna nerf this top speed, but you don't need it for rumble. Elite Platinum diff, but honestly guys, you can do just the Sport Bronze because we're only going 80% grip to make everything fit. And the auxiliaries is nitrous drift, nitrous grip, as we always do. For the handling, slide the slider to the left 80%. Any additional, it doesn't fit with this parts configuration. You can take a little bit of power out and do 100% grip, but when you're driving rumble, you're kind of drifting a little bit anyway, and you're e-braking into your corners. 80% is more than enough, and that extra power helps you walk your competition. Steering sensitivity, I run 2 clicks high. Personal preference, downforce all the way high. For rumble, you want to have it all the way high. You want to be on the road, getting as much traction as you can. That's a really great way to set it up. Traction control is off. Drift entry, I run brake tap. 148 top speed for our 488 Pista. 1122 for your horsepower and 1106 for your torque. This thing's a banger. It is super fast, and it drives me wild to think that we almost had that exact same performance out of a B-class car. We had this car in B-class for a while, you guys. It was omega cracked. That's going to do it for me for the best builds in S-Class. Honorable mentions, which you can go search on the channel. That's going to be the Pagani. Super, super good. The Huayra is amazing. It does hold one world record, or one crew record, if you will. I think that if the guys grinded that track a little more, they could probably bring it down with some other cars, but the Pagani is an honorable mention. The Golf, it's crazy at S. It's got a ton of power. It spins the wheels, but it's very, very fast. And so you might go check out the Golf build that I've got on the channel as well. And there's always other cars that are good in S. If you want an off-meta banger, go search the BMW X6. You can go smoke people in an SUV, and that's a lot of fun. But it's not breaking any world records, but it is very fast. Other than that, guys, that's me. I am thankful to all of you. I don't have a channel without you guys watching, and I don't have a community without you guys being a part of it. So it's we, it's not me. I make the videos, and it's up to you guys to watch them thousands of times. So I'm thankful for it. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.